Moth orchids, or Phalaenopsis, are probably the most popular flowering houseplant, and that's because they're one of the easiest orchids to grow. And each bloom can last up to about 3 months, and the flowers can also appear at any time of the year. I've also got one here which is a newer form, which is part of the Wild series, and these produce much smaller flowers but loads more of them. And what I love about this wild orchid in particular, we had one in our office and it flowered non-stop for a full year. What often makes them so easy to grow as houseplants is that they seem to cope quite well in warm conditions, even centrally heated homes. Ideally, the temperatures should range anywhere between about 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. So in the winter months, if you can, they'd be happiest on an east or west facing windowsill. During the summer, however, when that sun's a lot stronger, just move them into a spot where they get bright but indirect light. Now, in their native environment, these plants are epiphytic, so they don't grow in the soil, they grow in the crooks of branches. And when they're grown as houseplants, they're potted up into this very coarse specialist compost, which contains a lot of bark. And the trick is when watering is to keep that bark moist but never ever waterlogged. And I would also recommend investing in a specialist orchid pot cover. Now, these have a raised base. So what that means is that the pot sits well above any water that might be sitting in the reservoir at the bottom there. But if there is any excess water sitting at the very base here, then that will help increase the humidity around the orchid, which again is something that they will really like. So keep them well watered during the growing season, but you can cut back a little bit during the winter, but never ever leave them sitting in water. The other thing that they will benefit from during the growing season is being fed with the specialist orchid fertiliser, and just follow the manufacturer's instructions. Occasionally you might want to just give the leaves a wipe to remove any dust, and every couple of years you can repot them, but do make sure you use a specialist orchid compost.